You're listening to the Lawyers with Purpose Practice Success Podcast, hosted by Lisa Rozier, featuring attorney Dave Zampano, along with frequent guests. Whether you're a seasoned estate planning attorney, an attorney looking to add estate planning and elder law to your existing list of practice areas, or you're just starting out, this podcast will give you a solid plan for success. Listen now as Dave and his guests share their personal journeys to practice success and the insights they learned along the way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Practice Success Podcast. Lisa Rozier here, also with Dave Zampano, and back for a third time, attorney Michael Rutkowski. Hello, Mike.
Thanks for having me again. Secretly, we're going for a fourth here, but let's see.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah, we met that. Yeah. I love it.
Really quick, how can people contact you? Because now this is the third episode, and maybe they want to pick your brain a little bit more. So give us some of that info.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just go to our website. It's rutkowskilawfirm.com. That's spelled RUTKOWSKI lawfirm.com. Just fill out the contact us. It'll get to me at some point. Doesn't go directly to me. Maybe we'll talk about that today.
All right, Phil.
And reference the podcast. So that usually makes it go up quicker.
Yeah. So for our listeners out there, if this is the first time you're joining us or the first time you're hearing Mike on this podcast, there's also 2 previous episodes that Mike has joined us on. And you can always get a list of all of our episodes by clicking on the Practice Success Podcast button right on lawyerswithpurpose.com. And Mike, for your third episode today, we had talked about, we've learned about your journey. We learned about how you built your practice and how you got to where you are today, going through the trials and tribulations of COVID and how you restructured and the EOS model and whatnot. And, you know, the question comes to me is, you had to have the people in the right seats in order to get you to where you are today. And as a true EOS model, we focus on the 1-year, 3-year, and 10-year plan. So I'd love to hear what the ultimate prize is for you at some point during this podcast.
Yeah, that's what we call the e-freedom element, right? What's ultimately the prize?
Yeah. So Mike, let's talk about, first of all, we've now had 2 episodes. Is there anything that you want to get out that you're like, oh man, I wish I said this?
No, I think if we're just going to keep going with what you said, I think, the story is going to keep coming out just naturally.
All right, cool. Sounds
good. Would it make sense to talk about the right people, right seats?
Absolutely. The whoness. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. So EOS does a thing called right people, right seats. It's just making sure that people have, the ability to do their role. They love doing it. They have the capacity to do it, right? There's like an acronym or something for this. And in any event, in the beginning, I had a team of people that sometimes I would start creating jobs for them because they weren't so great at one thing, but I emotionally was attached to them, my problem, not theirs, that I didn't want, I could see that they weren't the right person for the firm, but I would try to create roles to make it right for the person. And it took years and years. This isn't like an overnight thing, like boom, realize that this is what I need to do. But it kind of goes back to my talking about realize it's just a business, because in working towards getting the right people in the right seats, it was probably a 3 or 4 year process for us that finally to this day, we finally have, I would say, the right people in the right seats, all rowing in the right direction, and things are becoming pretty magical.
And Mike, I don't want to shortcut because you're saying things, but taking something for granted. That's all based on what EOS calls an accountability chart.
Correct.
Right, which the rest of the world calls an organizational chart, but they call it accountability. So once you identify those seats, when we're building this company, what seats do we need to successfully do it? Those are the seats that you're saying we need the right people to fill. And that's where accountability is based on. So speak into that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's your standard seats for any business. You got sales, you got marketing, you got operations. And the interesting thing is like as the solo practitioner, you're all of these things. And you might not be so great at some things and better at others, but you are all of these things until you start building staff and start delegating some things, which seems to be a very difficult thing. I know it was for me as I was building the practice, but attorneys, for whatever reason, no one wants to give away anything because we think we are so good at everything.
Mike, I got to tell you, I've never in my life tried drugs. I might be, people go, yeah, right, Dave, me and Bill Clinton, right? But here's the thing I would tell you, if I ever did, I would imagine it feels like the drug of delegation. like you, I didn't delegate anything. Now I delegate everything. And it's like awesome because they're so much better at it than we are on that stuff.
So much better. It just blows your mind if you can just trust people to do the things that they're good at, and you just let them run with it. And you don't want to micromanage here, because as soon as you micromanage, they don't feel like they have the ability to kind of make it their own. But as soon as I started like releasing the reins and letting people do what they're good at, oh my gosh, like that's where some exponential growth started happening.
So Michael, we have a term here at LWP. It's called knowing your whoness. It's based on a book, Who Not How, by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. You probably have it. You have it on your thing back there. But Who Not How, and what it really does, we've adapted to call inside. Do you know your whoness? My father always said it, and I don't remember if we talked about this in episode 1. My father always said, Dave, you got to use your God-given talents, right? Everybody's been given something unique to them that no one else has. Dan Sullivan, a strategic coach, calls it unique ability. Other people call it other things. Out of respect to my dad, I'll call it your God-given talent, right? There's something we do easy, natural. In fact, what most people will tell you is they don't even realize it's their unique ability, as Dan Sullivan would say, because it's so easy to them. Like, well, no, that can't be it because that's too easy to me. So at LWP, when we talk about do you have who's, is everyone in every seat a who, which means they understand their role. They know how to do it themselves. In other words, they don't need anyone to tell them how to do the job. They know how to evolve it themselves, and they have the capacity to do it. They have the time and the knowledge. So what's been your experience around hiring those who's, and what happens when you have them on, when you get the who's?
Yeah, when you get, it's been incredible. When you get an A player in a seat, I would call it, the person who has all the traits that you're talking about, they have that like ownership mentality about their role, and they come up with ideas because in the beginning, like I'm what's called a visionary, the person who's always creating ideas, wants to do things better, growth, all of those things. And if you get the right person in their role, they will do that to some extent. We're all not built that way, but to some extent, they're going to own their specific thing, and they are going to blow it out of the water because
they come to you with the solution. It's like, I'm like, somebody comes to me with a problem. Well, what are we going to do? I'm like, I don't know. What are we going to do? And they're like, oh, we could do A, we could do B, we can do C. I'm like, sounds good to me. Which one you think's best, And to really be able to delegate that and feel good about that, they're actually better at it than you. I always said there's another very famous person, I can't remember who, they always make sure that when they go in the room, they're always in a room with people smarter than them. Right?
Oh,
There's a lot of successful people that like to be the smartest person in the room. Personally, I like to be the dumbest person in the room. I assume if I meet, and I mean this seriously, if I meet a bum on the street, I'm talking to them. I want to know about them because there's something about that person that's unique. And I think that's all of our job when we're out there, to find what are other people's who-ness. I think it's cool.
Yeah. And when you can delegate to the right people, that just gives you more time to work in your unique ability. And when you're there, you to what you were saying, you kind of know it because it like gives you energy, right? It's not something that you have to work at. Like there's some things like working on an Excel spreadsheet, just not my thing. It's not. I mean, I'm going to stare at the clock all day, but having conversations like this with you, I mean, I could do this for 8 hours straight. And next thing you know, my kids walk in from school and I'm like, where'd the day go?
Right.
If you have that kind of feeling, you're kind of in the zone. That's kind of like one indication that you're working in that space.
So Mike, I want to bring up another issue. This is something that's very, a distinction that I've made in using EOS for years, but it's got nothing to do with EOS. It's got to do with accountability, right? They call it an accountability chart instead of an organizational chart. Most organizations, as they grow, they become very top down, right? Like there's this big brother up above telling everything. Mm-hmm. I think vision is from the top down, right? You're the visionary, I'm the visionary. We have to create a vision of the future that we see. So Dan Sullivan had the best way of always describing it. He said, there's people that make it up, there's people that make it real, and there's people that make it reoccur. So when you think about it, the visionaries make stuff up. We make it up all the time. But the problem is when we make it up, we think we're the ones that have to figure it out. No, it's go find the people that know how to make it real. So we have people, we call them transformers in our organization. They transform visions into reality. They build the systems that bring about that vision. They build the processes and things like that. And then after they're done building them, then there's the people that implement them and use them every day. Those are the people that say, Dan Sullivan would say, make it reoccur. And they refine it that third time. Make it up, make it real, make it reoccur. What's been your experience in that element with regard to the accountability chart?
Yeah. So, the accountability chart has been great because it lets everyone know like what are their roles and responsibilities, right? You kind of give your top 5 roles and responsibilities and people know what they're accountable to. And we tie metrics to that. So
Metrics, yes.
That way they know if they're doing a good job because, being transparent and just having constant conversations and just everyone in the organization needs to know where they stand. And metrics is just a solid way to do that. Whether it's a revenue number that a person is supposed to hit in the legal world, like your hourly billables, right, those kinds of things, but everyone has their numbers and they know like what they're supposed to perform at.
Yeah. A lot of staff say, well, my boss doesn't appreciate me, right? A lot of people, but with self-accountability, you don't have to be acknowledged because you're acknowledged by hitting your metrics, right? So that I know as an attorney, if I'm doing the right marketing, I have X amount of ICFs a month. If I hit those ICFs, I hit them. If I don't, I'm not performing. I don't need someone to tell me I didn't perform. I know I didn't perform. And that's what self-accountability is all about. Michael, I want to share an insight with you that I came to, and I'd love your opinion on it. One of the things I found with accountability, when most people listen, they think about accountability as being a top-down, like so-and-so watching over me to make sure I'm accountable. Under the EOS model, it's no such thing as that. There is no top-down. In fact, it's bottom-up. Everybody's accountable to their role. Everybody knows their roles. They know their metrics. You know them. Show up in a meeting, report out your metrics. But here's what I found. I found that the accountability is actually the direct inverse of what most people think. What I tell my people is the accountability is to the supervisors, not to the staff. Meaning the supervisors are accountable to ensure staff are successful. Meaning they have to give them the tools and the knowledge so that they can succeed. And that's really where I say accountability is really bottom up, where everyone does their job and position, but leaders have more responsibility, not less, not to delegate down, but to support down and make sure they have the tools and knowledge necessary to succeed. What say you about this? What's been that whole conversation about accountability for you?
Yeah,
when you have who's?
I truly couldn't agree with you more that it's coaching up your staff to help them perform at their peak, right? At their top.
Yeah.
And it's all about being leaders. And it's not just, oh, you didn't hit your numbers and having like, those kinds of like old school attorney paralegal conversations or associated. It's not that at all. It's supporting, and this just goes into culture building and so many other things, but it's supporting it's bottom up, just like you said.
Yeah. So why is it that you think you didn't hit them? What can we do to help you? What do you need? What's missing? Those are the type of the support that a superior, a supervisor would say down to a staff member. Michael, let's shift gears.
All right.
You've built a team, you've built a culture, you've built success. What's the prize? So we call this at Lawyers with Purpose, e-freedom, to truly have entrepreneurial freedom. What does that mean to you to have entrepreneurial freedom? What's the prize for you? At the end of the day, these folks listening, they want to build a practice like you have. Well, when they get it, what's the prize? They're making a lot of money. Is that the prize? What is it?
Yeah, I think it comes like, to me, I'm getting to the point where I can make choices in my life. Like, for instance, at 10 a.m. today, I took my dog for a walk. Like, I'm not needed in the daily grind, but I can still do things that bring me energy, like maybe go out and grow some other companies. I really enjoy that, or being on podcasts, or things that I think you mentioned it before. It's like getting to the point where the business runs itself. I almost think of it as like it's structured to sell, not that I want to sell it, but in a law firm, you definitely got to get away from like the law office of Michael Rutkowski. And I even like naming it the Rutkowski Law Firm. I've had my regrets on that and thinking about changing that. But to your question, it's when you have choices in life, it's not financial goals. It's not about like, I want the pool in the backyard and like those things anymore. Like those things are all happening kind of automatically. Like the financial support for your family goals, which is really important to have those conversations at home. Those are being met. And now it's like, what am I doing to serve like the purpose that I find so important to me and doing the things that I love every day? Like, I don't want to grind work for 10 hours every day. I mean, I did that, been there, done that.
Yeah, I think, and again, I can, my favorite part of being not only the founder, but a member of Lawyers with Purpose is its members. Meeting Mike Rutkowski's, the Jeff Balomos, the Ellen Hoglams, and there's so many more who have lived the life that other people are trying to get to, but give back to the other members and share. And then your local communities, right? Being able to impact your local communities, whether it's from your financial reward that you're able to financially finance some things, or what I find locally, I have a simple rule in my community. They either get my money or my time. And the smarter ones choose my time. They'd rather have my time because I think our impact we can have on our communities is much greater by helping our community build teams of people like you've built within your practice. So for us, we've talked about entrepreneurial freedom, the freedom to choose what you do when you wake up, but not choose to like sit on your butt and put your feet up. Choose how you want to make an impact, which is about your purpose. So kind of as we kind of wind down this last episode with you, Michael, at least for now, because I know you'll be up for an episode 4. What do you say to those folks listening about that whole idea of entrepreneurial freedom?
You got to know what brings you joy in life, what gives you energy. I think that's a great starting point for anyone at any point in their career. Like, what are we working towards, right? We're working to live, not living to work. I hope, at least, And so, start out by the end in mind, have the end in mind when we're building this practice to make sure that it's paying you first. So many things that we've talked about in the last couple episodes. It's paying you first. It's serving your family goals. Like for me, I have 3 daughters, and being able to coach their soccer teams and be there for them. It was very different for me growing up. My father worked for Chrysler. He literally had the most overtime for anyone in Chrysler worldwide. Wow. That tells you how many things he was out of mind when I was growing up. So and that's a whole nother episode we could get into one day. but I'm just like, I want to do things totally different. I want to be here making pancakes for my kids from 7 to 8 and their after school activities. And like, those are my goals. And my wife and I, we have these meetings together about what are our goals as a family so that we're connected and on the same page. So making sure your business serves you and just start there from the beginning, even as a solo practitioner. So that way, as you grow, as you build, you're keeping that end in mind.
Michael, you just reminded me of 2 things. One was my mom. My mom, people say, well, when your mom said something, but you got to understand my mom. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My mother in 1965 took over the family business from my grandfather and was a woman-owned business when there was no such thing. In the 25 years that her and my father ran it, they increased it 37-fold. My mother ran the business. My father was out on the road, the sales guy. So when my mom said something, there was a lot more to it than mom saying it, but she always said, but something you said made me think of this quote. She always said to me, and I live by it, Dave, put your head down, work hard, give people more than they expect, and the rest will happen. And that's been my life. I think it's been your life. I think any successful person, they put their head down, they work hard, they give people more than they expect. Value creation is from the eye of them, not you. I mean, those people who walk around and say, I'm great, they're not worth 10 cents because you don't determine your greatness, others do. And the second thought that came to me listening to you was, don't wait. Meaning, Everybody thinks that e-freedom is a destination. It's a journey.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a destination, meaning an attorney listening today, what can you do this week, this month, this quarter to give you one element of e-freedom? Maybe for the first time, you're going to delegate your books to someone else to do your books. There's a step of e-freedom, meaning it's giving you freedom from that one thing that is not naturally yours, not your whoness. So I think that's the other thing I heard from you, Mike, is don't wait till the end. Like, oh, I got to work and do all these things. And then, no, live along the way. Take time with your family along the way. Get little elements of e-freedom along the way. And I'll give you the closing word. What do you think?
Yeah, love it. Absolutely.
Well, I got to say, I love you, brother. I mean, I just love your energy. We got to figure a way to bottle that. And I think you did share how people can get a hold of you. Lisa, anything else we would ask of Michael?
Oh, please. I'm the marketing person. So of course I'm sitting here going, well, let's talk marketing. What did you realize and how did you grow? But that's again for a different day and time. But
Yes.
What a great conversation. And I really enjoyed the time together, Mike. And for our listeners, I hope that this was impactful and you have some great takeaways. And again, you can always reach out to Mike directly. He gave us the information. Go to his website, whoness.com. And again, everyone, thank you for listening, and we hope that you continue to join us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Take
Michael.
care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Practice Success Podcast. Visit www.lawyerswithpurpose.com/podcast to listen to other episodes and to subscribe. We'll see you next time.